Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala barakatuh. Alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Alhamdulillah, we are still discussing on chapter 4, this massive chapter 4 on holistic human behavior and the laws of learning in terms of positive Islamic psychology, a transcendent model to achieve peace, happiness and success in the 21st century. Today the subtopic is on collective human consciousness. Okay, so I'll read just one paragraph, two paragraphs, and then we can discuss this whole nature of collective human consciousness. All problems exist because of wrongness in the collective consciousness of the human race. Okay, this is our premise. All problems that exist because of the wrongness in the collective consciousness of the human race. If a single human mind has basic wrongness, that individual will manifest a wide range of problems. That means if that person is a narcissist, or that person is a psychopath, or that person is a sociopath, then they will exhibit this whole range of problems related to that doing evil, cheating people, harming people, destroying properties, and so on. So they manifested their wrongness and affects their immediate surrounding. That means their family members, their friends, or even that society. Okay, but not to the extent that will be very severe in that sense, because it's only one person. If a single human mind has basic wrongness, that individual will manifest a wide range of problems. The consciousness of all individuals in the world make up the collective human mind. So we have this collective human consciousness. So within this, I will explain to you how this nature of collective human consciousness is manifested. And in my previous video, you go to our early videos on feeling, thoughts and emotions, I have explained to that, and a few videos before this have explained to you the nature of consciousness also. So you must follow as many videos, subscribe to our channel and learn as many videos as possible as we describe this whole idea, so that you have a better understanding of the framework of Islamic psychology and the nature of consciousness and the nature of collective consciousness. Okay, because this is very important topic that we have to understand. The consciousness of all individuals in the world make up the collective human mind. A wrongness in an individual is a wrongness in the collective mind. So if one person is doing wrong, that means it is affecting all also, but at a limited scale. If the collective human mind has a basic wrongness, human society will manifest a wide range of problems. The mechanism is very similar to the way the mind of one individual alter the structure of the mind of another. It is done through the exchange of photons between the physical matter at the subatomic level. This is one of the ideas that we're talking about. That means beyond at the quantum state, we have this exchange of information at the consciousness level. And many definitions of consciousness, we have defined our definition of consciousness, where Allah manifested His will for this physical universe to exist when He commanded the existence of this existence that we have. When Allah commanded kun fayakun, innama amruhu iza arada an shay'an an yakula lahu kun fayakun, and Allah manifested that He has a grand plan. And in one of the hadith Jibril, Allah tells, which is transmitted to our Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the believer of Allah, he says that I am a hidden treasure, I yearn to be known, so I created the creation. So this is one of the possibilities of the nature of the existence of consciousness first, and how this consciousness can be manifested at every level, even consciousness of human being, consciousness of angels, consciousness of animals, consciousness of even crystals, immaterial things, and so on. Each and every level of consciousness, which I've explained in many videos before this. So I'm not going to dwell on that, but I'm dwelling on how this collective human consciousness affect us in terms of the collective mind. All right? We don't see the micro level of influence. So we don't see that exchange of information is always continuously going in and forward, affecting the whole universe, not only this world. Remember, it affects the whole universe. So how does it affect the universe? That is the will of Allah. All right? We don't see the micro influence. We view those changes at the level of human physical form and mental processes. Each time any person influences their environment, the effect of that influence are transmitted directly to the immediate surrounding. The changes which take place in the immediate surrounding from the influence spread out, affecting the broader environment. Those influences branch out many times over until the number becomes such that the entire world is affected by its effect. Okay, so this why they have this butterfly effect. If you study the butterfly effect, if we are going to change the climate of this earth, we keep on polluting. All right, we keep on putting CO2 into the atmosphere. We use the fossil fuel. We keep on burning the forest. In Brazil, in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Africa, and everywhere in the world, we are burning the forest. They will become to a tipping point. And that tipping point of the change of the climate will be affected by one butterfly. That's why they call it the butterfly effect. Everything looks fine, but when the butterfly flips its wing, the whole of the Gulf Stream that is bringing cold water to the tropics will be shut down because of the change of the atmospheric CO2 level. And that will be the disaster. So it takes only one butterfly to change everything, but that would be the tipping point. Just like we have the tipping point of water to ice, all right? At zero, when you reach that 0 point, then that water turns to ice. So the same thing. Everything has a tipping point. The collective human consciousness has a tipping point, either towards elevation or towards degeneration. All right? So for example, if we look at human society in the 21st century, all indicators, whether it is the climatic indicators, whether it's psychological indicators, whether it's sociological indicators, whether it's economic indicators, whether it is all these indicators, GDP, GNI, whatever you name, all those statistical indicators point that we are going downwards. It means we are not living in a sustainable global world. We are destroying our environment, destroying our society, destroying our psyche. So if we talk about the physical thing, we are destroying, say, the planet with CO2, with pollution, with plastics, killing the fishes, and all that kind. We can talk about the climatic change, which is imminent within. Now it's already affecting, and there will be a tipping point. And some scientists have said that tipping point is already over. That means we are going in for a very massive disaster in terms of climatic change within the next 50 years. Wallahu alam. But if we talk about the changes in terms of the psyche of the modern human being, what are we? We are degenerating, because this whole idea of, for example, evolutionism, material things, that we ascended from the ape. So we are an ascended ape. We are a modern ape. That's what they say. We are just a chimpanzee, but a better chimpanzee with better brains. So we ascended from microbes to amoeba, from amoeba to reptile. That's why they say they have this reptilian brain, reptile to primates, and primates to human. That is this nonsensical idea. All right? But every one of those so-called materialist scientists will accept that as a fact, whereas nobody knows. It's just a theory, and nobody can prove that. Whereas from the aspect of consciousness, we know we ascended from a higher place. From Islamic perspective, we come from Allah. It's higher place. We descended, but we have the opportunity to ascend. There will be another topic, inshallah, we'll describe of the metaphysics of existence within the framework of Islam, within the framework of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Inshallah, when I have the time, I'll explain to you. So what is important when we talk about this collective human mind is how we shape it, because it is influenced by the influencer, as mentioned in our model. There are the physical influences, there are the interpersonal influences at individual and collective societal level, and there are intersocial. So the whole interaction at a sociological, psychological, physical level creates this whole collective human behavior. And that human behavior manifested our situation now, positive or negative. So we have the whole jumble of positive human behavior. We have this whole degeneration of negative human behavior. But if we look at the trend, we know we are trending towards a disaster that is impending, that will destroy this society. All right? So how are we going to overcome that? That is where, when we work together, is one part on our positive Islamic psychology model, where we talk about how collective human consciousness can be directed towards a positive direction, especially the collective consciousness of the ummah, the Muslims, for example. We must get away from just practicing, just practicing the external ibadah only, but not internalizing the consciousness, because Islam, ibadah is consciousness. So for example, somebody prays Allahu Akbar, he goes through the whole prayer, and his mind is not in ubudiyah to Allah. He's not praying. He's just going through the motion. So there's a lot of Muslims now going through the motion. They are not actually practicing Islam, or they would not, for example, eat pork, but they will steal ringgit 1 billion or $1 billion. That is not Islamic. Or they will destroy the forest. They will cut down the trees because they got timber license. So what they do, they kill all the orangutans in the forest, all the primates in the forest. The primates has every right to exist just like we have every. So that person, even though he prays 5 times a day, he go to the Hajj 1,000 times, he is not a proper Muslim. He has the consciousness of a hypocrite, a consciousness that is not of ubudiyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a consciousness that will not be acceptable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But he be manifested with all his big sarban and all his big gown, and when he go to this majlis, you can see these people. But they are the biggest crook on earth. They are the biggest destroyer of society on earth. But they want to manifest their aura of holiness and goodness. Within our Muslim society, we can see that. These are the people that Allah mentions, the munafiqs, people who will be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they are the ones who destroy the collective mind of the Muslims. So how are we going to save the collective consciousness and mind of the Muslims, especially our youth? This is where we have this collective responsibility to practice Islam, the intrinsic values of Islam. What are those intrinsic values of Islam? To acknowledge Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to live a life of goodness, appreciating what Allah, in gratitude that Allah has given us, to lead a life of peace, of love, of caring, of sharing, of making this world good, helping others to be good, making the world good as the Khalifa of Allah. Those are the things that we have to manifest. Then we are actually living in a way that is blessed, and we can shape our ummah towards a functioning, beautiful ummah that can be an exemplar, khairul ummah, to all ummah on this earth in the 21st century. And that is our desire and hope. By understanding the whole realm of Islamic psychology, we can change the consciousness of the ummah towards being the best, achieving the best, fulfilling the best in this world and the hereafter, inshallah.